Here's a controversial statement. If you're not making content in 2026, you're basically unemployed. And look, I know that sounds dramatic, but I've been in this space for over 20 years. I've helped creators go from zero to millions of followers. I've booked $18 million in brand partnerships in the last year alone. And the biggest pattern that I see, the people who wait to start content, they never catch up. Every industry is moving towards content now, not just influencers. We're seeing it with lawyers, with doctors, with accountants, everyone. Let me show you why 2026 is literally your last chance to get ahead of this. Now look, I had a conversation with a business owner just last week. Really smart guy. Successful online business. He's been watching what I do with my clients, seeing the revenue, seeing the opportunities, seeing the growth. He actually came through from a mutual referral. And he goes, Sam, do I really need to be making content? My business is doing fine without it. And so I asked him back, okay, but what happens when your competition starts making content and you're still invisible online? And that line is what hit him different, because what I see every day working with creators and business owners, this massive gap forming between people who make content and people that just don't. The people making content, they're getting opportunities that they could never have imagined. From brand partnerships to speaking gigs, consulting offers. We just had a client do a documentary that would never previously have come across his table. Not only was it a huge spike of income and revenue being paid to be on the documentary, but the visibility and reach and eyeballs on him and his business as a result of that is exponential. The people not making content, they're fighting for scraps in an increasingly crowded marketplace. And in 2026, this gap becomes permanent. You're either in the game or you're watching from the sidelines. Every industry is becoming a content industry. And what's happening is that most people aren't even seeing it coming, let alone realizing that we're basically already there. AI is automating everything. The basic work, the routine stuff, the things that used to pay the bills. But what's not getting automated is personal connection, trust, relationships. How do you build personal connection at scale? Well, you do it through content. A lawyer who makes videos explaining legal concepts isn't just creating content. He's building trust with thousands of potential clients. A fitness trainer who posts workout tips isn't just being social anymore. She's demonstrating expertise to people who might hire her. A consultant who shares business insights, they're not just building a personal brand. They're showing potential clients exactly what they know. Content is just becoming the new resume. As a business owner that hires over 50 people in my company at this point, I can tell you now, the first thing I do when we're hiring is I look for their social media. That is their new resume, the new business card, the new way to prove that not only you exist, but you're good at what you do. If you don't have content in 2026, you really don't exist in the marketplace. The attention economy is the only economy. And something that most people just don't understand at this point is that attention is the new currency. Money follows attention. Jobs follow attention. Opportunities follow attention. In 2026, the people with the most attention are the people with the most options. Think about it. Who gets hired first? The person with a strong online presence showing their expertise, or the person that just has a resume that takes you ages to read anyway? Who gets the speaking opportunities, the consulting gigs, the partnerships? It's always going to be the person who has attention. I came from, sure, the industry, right? Movies, television. But the old way of booking gigs was based on just talent. You would have to go to a casting. You would have to demonstrate your acting or performance capabilities. But what I noticed, and this was quite some time ago now, we're talking well over a decade ago, was that people's social media was starting to be taken into consideration. And it was no longer just the most talented person, it was the person that had attention, because they bring more to the table. And not only that, the people that were casting gets a snapshot of you at the casting, but they can consume 3 hours of your content and really get to know the breadth of your capabilities just by following your Instagram. It's a whole different game. And I realized in that moment that this is going to happen in every single industry. And it does. Which dentist do you go to? With the one that you've consumed hours of content of course, because you've built trust with them. Which personal trainer are you going to hire? Well, the one that's taught you and shown you videos of how to do movements online already. It's always the person who has attention. And the only way to get attention is to create content. There's literally no other scalable way. Sure, you can network and you can cold email, you can apply to jobs. Content works while you sleep. Content reaches people that you'll never meet in person. Content builds your reputation 24/7. I went to an event last week. 2 people came up to me at that event saying that they'd been consuming my content online and therefore saw me as a credible authority person in my industry. I don't even get that many views. I don't even have that many subscribers. But those that do watch are high intent potential customers. In the creator economy, we work with people making 6 figures, but they aren't always necessarily the ones that are most talented. They're the ones that have built a large, yes, but very specific audience, because it's the audience that equals leverage, and leverage therefore becomes income. Personal branding isn't an option anymore. This is huge, and most people are honestly still sleeping on this. In 2026, you're not competing against people just in your city anymore. You're competing against people globally. A company in Mumbai can hire a designer from the Philippines. A startup in New York can hire a developer from Europe or Romania even. Everything's remote. So how do you stand out in a global marketplace? Well, you do it through personal branding via content. When someone searches for marketing consultant, do they find you? When someone needs help with their business, I hope they're thinking of me. Because if the answer is no, then you're already losing. Content is how you build a personal brand. It's how you become known for something specific. It's how you become the go-to person in your field. Without content, you're just another freelancer in a sea of freelancers, another employee in a stack of resumes. But with content, you're an expert, the thought leader, the person people specifically want to work with. And you prove that through the content. That's the difference between surviving and thriving, especially in 2026. AI is making basic work worthless, not your expertise though. Because the scary part that no one wants to talk about is that AI can write copy. It can design logos. It can edit videos. It can code. It can do accounting. Basic stuff though, right? That stuff's worthless now. You did used to hire for it, but it's now gone. But the expertise, the application, right? The relationships, trust building, context added, experiences shared. This is where expertise and content comes in. When you create content, you're not just showing what you can do, you're showing how you think, your process, your experience, your perspective. And AI can never replicate that. A designer who makes content about design thinking and the creative process and client management even, that designer becomes irreplaceable. We still have multiple designers in our agency, and they're not going anywhere. They're leveraging AI, but the thinking, the creativity, the subject matter experience and expertise, these are things that AI just can't replicate. And believe it or not, the designers that we've hired are designers that have produced content that we'd consumed and had seen what their capabilities were for. Therefore, we specifically reached out to them. A developer who shares coding tutorials and explains complex concepts, they're showing their problem-solving approach. Well, that developer's always going to stand out from the crowd and from AI. Content is how you prove that you're not just a pair of hands doing basic work. You're a strategic thinker that brings value beyond the task. In 2026, that's the only kind of work that pays well. The network effects are massive. This is something people completely underestimate. Content doesn't just attract customers, it attracts opportunities. When you consistently create valuable content, other creators will want to collaborate with you. Companies will want to partner with you. People refer opportunities to you. You start to get invited to events or podcasts. Investment opportunities. I've had 5 investment opportunities land on my lap this year. Well, more, but 5 that I actually took up on. That were phenomenal opportunities that would never have come my way otherwise. Joint venture opportunities. I've seen this happen over and over in the creator economy space. A business coach starts making content about business strategy, and 6 months later, they're getting invited to speak at conferences. A year later, companies are asking them to consult. 2 years later, they're launching products. This happens all the time. That is the network effect of content. One piece of content that leads to one connection, which leads to another opportunity, which then leads to 10 more. But here's the thing. This only works if you start early. If you wait until you need these opportunities, it's too late. Every day is becoming too late. Content is like compound interest. The earlier you start, the bigger the payoff. Now, we can't go back in time. I wish I'd started creating content 20 and 30 years ago. There's nothing I can do about that now. So I might as well make today the day and not tomorrow. Because why wait? Every day that you wait is just another day that you've lost. The cost of not making content is getting exponentially higher day by day because more actors are coming in. It's getting more saturated. More people are learning the skills. Let me paint you a picture of what happens if you just don't make content in 2026. You are invisible online. When people search for your expertise in your field, they're not going to find you. They're going to find your competition who is making content. When opportunities arise, they go to people with an online presence and not you. When companies need to hire, they look for people who have proven expertise. How do they know you're an expert? Through your content. And if you don't have content, they assume you're not an expert. When clients need to choose between providers, they go with the one who has credibility. And how do you build credibility? Content. The cost of not making content compounds. Every day you wait, your competition gets further ahead. Every month you delay, they're building bigger audiences. Every year that you skip, they're becoming more established. So by 2027, if you haven't started making content by now, you're not just behind, you're going to be irrelevant. It's easier than ever to start too. That's the good news. The barrier to entry has never been lower. You don't need expensive equipment. You don't need a studio. You don't need professional editing skills. Your phone is literally enough. Free editing apps are out there. Social media platforms are free. AI tools can help you with ideas, scripts if you really need, thumbnails, even editing. Definitely recommend applying the human touch, but these things are available. The hard part isn't the technical stuff anymore. The hard part is the consistency, showing up, having something valuable to say. But if you're good at what you do, you already have something valuable to say. You just need to say it consistently. One post a day, one video a week, one newsletter a month. Start small, but stay consistent and then build the momentum. Here's what you need to do to start thinking this week. Let's get real, let's get tangible. First, pick your content angle. What do you want to be known for? What's your expertise? What problems are you solving? Don't try to be everything for everyone. Pick one thing, be the go-to person for that thing. Second, choose a platform and commit. People spread themselves too thin and then they just get overwhelmed. So just pick one. LinkedIn's great for B2B. Instagram for visuals and high intent. YouTube, of course, if you're going long form, really develop long-term relationships. But whatever you pick, commit to posting consistently for 6 months. No excuses. And then third, document your expertise because that's your superpower. That's what people need to be coming to you for. And you don't need to overcomplicate it. You don't need to manufacture stuff. Just document it. Share what you know. Share the processes, your experience, your mistakes, the wins. People want to learn from people who actually do the work. And that's you, okay? Fourth, start today. Not tomorrow, today. Write one post about something that you learned this week. Share one tip from your experience. Record one video explaining something you're good at. But just start. If you're a business owner who wants strategic positioning that actually drives revenue, I've got some links below as well, okay? At 1DS, we've generated over $200 million in tracked revenue for clients. And if you're a creator getting views, but you're struggling to monetize, we've booked over $18 million in brand partnerships in the last year. We know how to turn audiences into revenue. So if you're serious about doing content the right way, sure, reach out, let's talk. But there's a lot of free game here, right? This is the reality. 2026 is the tipping point. I've been doing this for over 20 years. I've seen creators go from broke to millionaires through strategic content. We've helped that process multiple times, but I've also seen people wait too long. Those people are struggling now. And by 2027, they're going to be irrelevant. It's not even going to be a struggle anymore. You're not too late now, but the window is closing fast. So here's my challenge. Post one piece of content a day right after watching this video. Share one insight, one tip, one lesson. Hell, tag me in it. I want to see you start. Because in 5 years, you're either going to thank yourself for starting in 2026 or you're going to regret waiting until it was too late. The choice, of course, is yours, but you need to choose fast because time is running out. If If this has been useful, please hit the subscribe button. I'm going to keep this game running, this content, this value, week in, week out. So I'll see you on the next one.